So you get to see the whole mess, the whole thing going on. So, okay. Welcome. For those that are going to be catching up a little bit later, or if you want to pause as you go, I'm going to kind of regroup on what's in front of me here. For those that were joining the live class, we had given some homework, and that homework was simply to get a sense of your individual pages. So these 8 pages came out of the binder kit. They are oversized a little bit so that you can allow for a 6x8 sheet of paper to pop on top and have that white little border all around. But because this is something that could take a little bit of time, if you can do this, or hopefully you did it ahead of time, and you arranged your labels from the sticker sheets that also came in that kit, we want to label it with the rub-ons with the different titles. You do not need to follow mine. You don't need to put them in the same order. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You just simply, you can create your own. You can follow your own order, whatever makes you happy. So again, this was just the homework, was to kind of regroup with these little labels and the labels, and then the tag or tab, whatever you want to call it, and then putting the rub-ons. So I had preset them up. As well, when I was spacing them, and I just kind of preemptively set myself up a little bit here, but to give you an idea, I start by placing that first file tab all the way to the left side, and then the last one, I did 4 across, so we did 2 rows of 4. I did them end to end, and then I positioned my 2 middle ones spaced out a little bit. So I just wanted to give you that rough idea. The adhesion on these tabs is not great. If you're having an issue with them, of course, you can always tack them down with a little additional glue. I kind of just left them up that way so that I could show you my 4. And you can also position all your front row with your second row to make sure they're going to line up. And if they're not perfect, it'll kind of even itself out as we go through the binder and you start making it a little bit wider. So we have the tabs. Hopefully you have your tabs set up. If for some reason you didn't do this ahead of time, no big deal. You can obviously go back and do this portion later. Not going to make or break following along today. So everybody can see okay. I feel like I want it to be closer, and I don't know how to make my camera zoom in, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you can make it big enough on your screens. In addition to the file tab setting up, I also suggested having your photos or mats pre-cut. There were 2 bonus little sheets of cardstock in the paper pack. This is the 6x8 Cottagecore paper pack. I cut 1 into the 4x6. And then you have 6 pieces that are 3x4. So you should get that from your 2 sheets of the green and tan solid paper. We then had some extra photos or photo mats that you can create. I believe it was 6, am I right? I'm looking at my directions. I'm sorry, 8 of the 4x6 and 1, what am I saying? I'm sorry, 6. The photo over here, so the green is a 3x4, so the photo would be a little bit smaller at 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, so then what do we have? I'm like trying to follow my directions here. We have 4 4x3 separate photos. So those were just preemptively setting them up so we have them spaced. And then taking from our die cuts, we had various frame pieces in the die cut pack from Cottagecore. So I just matted those white cardstock, pretending that it's the photos behind. As a little tip, when I do this, because I want to put in photos after the fact, I simply just put 1 little strip of adhesive on the bottom, so this way I can slide in a photo later. Or alternatively, you could always put your white cardstock and then just use the white as an interior frame for a photo. So hopefully that helps. And I see Dennis Bruton has just popped onto our live feed. So I will say, Dennis, welcome. And I guess on behalf of everyone, this is just an amazing, amazing collection. Cottagecore is by far one of my absolute favorites. It was so much fun to work with and an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much. In addition, you see the tabs were falling off. On the 2 large 4x6 die cut frames, I had added a layer of foam before I put my photo. I just thought it gave a little bit more of that realism in terms of making it look like the frame was on top or that the image is going to be behind it. So that's an alternative option for you. Take it or leave it, but that is the pieces that I had preemptively set up. So gonna kind of clear this off and we are going to tackle this. And I think I came up, it's not always easy when you're trying to undergo a huge project like this. This is a large album, binder-based album, and it's, sometimes you want to make sure that you're going at it and in an easy to follow way. So hopefully everyone thinks that I have done just that. So I'm going to begin with these pages. These are going to be those base tab pages for our album that we are going to kind of give our first layer of paper and frames and then kind of work our way into the bits and pieces and work through all of the embellishments, okay? So we begin, I used appetizers as my first tab. My approach was alphabetical order. Don't know if it's right, not really sure, but it makes me happy, so it's totally fine. So the other thing that I can say if you did or didn't do, or again, optional, is to ink your edges of some of your papers. I personally like when I get a little bit of a contrast of a lighter paper against the white base. So I have chosen, I think pumice stone is one of the best colors. I love the warm gray tone for it, and it just blends so much. As I made a mess on my paper, but that's all right. I can always cover it if that bothers me, which I'm really good with it. But I did use pumice stone on most of my papers before putting it down. So you can either do that in advance or as you go, or you can skip it all together. So I am just, again, first layers of working this in. I'm kind of covering that tab up a bit with my paper because I want to make my border around even. You can also either as you go or come back to later that you can put your reinforcement stickers down. Yes, one of the comments, Brooke, I personally put white cardstock. You don't have to put white cardstock. You can just go off the base or have photos ready, completely up to the person who is putting this together. But just to show you that those additional stickers on the sheet that you got the labels off of, they're gonna kind of go over your papers like so. So this is an easy way to start the project, start covering those white pages. I know white pages can sometimes be a little scary when they're staring at us. I am going to leave the back side of the first tab empty. We are going to create a waterfall after with our, what's it called? With our recipe cards. The recipe cards and the new flips, the new Insta flips. Okay, so on the second tab, we're going to be using this sheet of paper, and I probably should have alternatively said the first one. So the first one kind of is one of those base papers. I don't recall what was on the other side of it. Oh, it had the spoons. The other side of the all spoon paper is the first tab, so I'm doing that. The second tab is the other border page, which this is actually the back side of the journal page. You can make sure that your text goes in the correct direction if you like. I see on some of my comments, there are images, individual images on the Facebook group for retailers. We will make sure that you can get an easy download of all of those images so that you can zoom in. I realize printed directions are sometimes hard to follow, as the pictures can be a little small or grainy. So we took step-by-step photos, which are coordinated by number to the different steps on the direction sheet. Okay, I'm gonna wind up coming back to this page to do my reinforcements all the way through later, but just to give you that idea. So you can either do it now, later, depending on how you are going along. But I love a good reinforcement. I love a reinforcement. I love the labels. I love everything about this collection. Super fun and easy to work with. And again, if you use alternative papers or you want to do your own thing, feel free to do so. This project came along effortlessly as all the elements and the pieces just were easy to blend in. The second page, or the back of our first tab, the back of our second tabbed page is going to be the plaid paper. And again, you can either ink your edges, or you could distress it, or you can simply leave it as is. Totally a personal thing, whatever works for you. This has the, what is that, like the brick lines across the back side. So that's that regular plaid. And I'm just simply adhering these down completely as I go, so that I have a starting point for the base of my pages. All right. Am I going at an okay speed? Everybody is following along, feverishly working, all that good stuff. As you're pulling papers, you can grab this. I am working on my lovely new white mat from Tim Holtz, Tonic. I love this mat. It makes it a little easier than the black for me sometimes when I'm working, because the contrast just pops at me a little bit more. So for this page, this is going to be our third tab. This is breakfast. I mean, I always think of breakfast as the kitchen table, right? So for this page, we are going to use a craft knife on a surface that you can cut on top of. And I am going to trim around the cabinet as well as this corner of the table and chairs. And the idea being behind this, I will grab it, and maybe I should have put our photos as we went, but that's okay. I'm going to be using a 4x6 photo or a white piece of cardstock as a placement. So the idea is that you want to trim out the pieces that would be over here, and why not add the little detail of the hanging plant over here. So just to show you, I'm not going to bother with all the leaves, but that's just me. This is to each their own. And if for some reason you fall behind, you can always pause, go back, rewind, all that good stuff. So I'm lifting up that little piece right there. And then I'm really just eyeballing this. If for some reason you grossly make a mistake, you can always cover it up in some fashion. Be it that your paper is either going to go over it, or you can re-glue it. I mean, there's always a way of fixing whatever error you may or may not make. I'm just taking that craft knife, doing a general overview. Hopefully I'm pushing down hard enough. That is the one thing with our paper, because it's so thick, you do want to make sure that you're really giving it some good pressure as you go. You can either go around each chair separately, or you can group them together. There is no right, there is no wrong. Okay. So for retailers wanting to place the order, you can contact your rep, or seeing your comment, I'm sure somebody will get back to you. The back side of the kitchen table paper, if I didn't mention this, I apologize. It is that washed brown side of the paper is the back side. So this is the one with the kitchen table on the bottom right corner. I am going to just use a little strip of adhesive on my faux photo to show you how we will position that photo. I love how Dennis has like these little like framed marks around the edges. I try to show them where I can. Doesn't always work that way, but I think that that just adds to it. So I'll put a little pressure there and I'll secure that in place. That's also good for when we're going to adhere it to our full page over here. If you, for some reason, weren't sure if you want your photo to stay where it is, or you might replace it, you can make sure that when you put your adhesive to the page that you don't adhere it to the white or the photo showing through. And that's, again, if you want to like take it off somehow and pull it. I'm not really going to bother. I actually like a little extra security, so I'm going to make sure that I put a little adhesive there. Okay, question. Is the craft knife leaving score marks on the glass mat? Well, it sure shouldn't. I will say that. Nope, I have 0 issues with any issues. A glass mat is ideally for your cutting. I think there was a question on the sideline over here. I find a glass mat is definitely easier than those self-healing ones because it doesn't leave that mark. I have 0 issues with it. I do have a little ink spot over here. Hopefully it's not going to pick up on my project. And that's because I didn't clean it properly, apparently. I think there was some watercolors I was playing with. Okay, and again, I'm eyeballing this around so that I have that border going around. Once again, if you're finding yourself with time, you can stick your little reinforcements on, or you can always go back later. So as you see, I kind of missed a few. I can always go back. I like it on the front and back. I think it's just a nice little touch. I think it adds to helping the pages stay secure. So take it or leave it, my suggestion for that one. Okay, so the back side of this, I'll leave it there for just 1 second, is simply going to be this little square check pattern. I think that's so fun. I love the colors of the green in that. It was the back side of the wavy, what is this called? Plaid. The wavy plaid. So this is going to be the green side. So I'm going to just do that. Again, I could have inked my edges or not. This one has a lot of color, so if I don't ink it, I'm not overly concerned about it. But I'll do it just because. Okay, so once again, just simply edge to edge adhesive. I put a little in the middle. I am trying to get this straight and even. Don't know if it did. Okay. All right. So that is the back side of tab number 3. Tab number 4, which I chose desserts. I simply used this paper. I just love these. These are my favorites. This is, again, the back side is the full spoons. So for this one, being that it's light, I am going to take a moment and do my little inking. Just to just dress that up a bit. Okay, and I will adhere very easily. So I know this is a little repetitive, but once we get our pages down, we get going a little bit more. We have, and that's all right. Doesn't have to be perfect, does it? So I tell myself and then get upset if it's not, but that's okay. All right, so that's tab 4, front of tab 4. For back of tab 4, we are going to use the patterned paper that has all our sugar and eggs and goodness and baking stuff, figuring that is perfect for desserts. All the ingredients that we probably need for all our desserts. And I will flip that over. This has the 2 panels on it, the 2 6x4 panels. I know the hardest part sometimes is which side to use because we want to use them all and we simply can't for all projects, but that's okay. All right, I'm making sure this is facing up. How's everybody doing? Am I going at an okay pace? Too fast? Too slow? Anybody suggestions on the speed at which I am moving? And again, that's for people watching this live. You can always pause if you're watching a replay. Our second batch of tab pages, we have entrees I'm on to. And again, I just thought this was a good way to get the papers out of the way, or majority of the papers. Oh, Milagros, thank you. The next page is also going to be the second sheet of paper with the table on it and that brown backside. For this one, I chose just to make it different. I did not trim anything out. I am simply going to cover the whole bit with my 4x6 photo. So I'm just gonna glue that in place so that I see it in the position with those little ticker marks. And I will then add a little bit of ink. Okay. Whoop. And the idea behind this page is I'm not concerning myself with what's here because I'm going to wind up using laser cut embellishments and other bits and pieces to cover up that table. So it alters the look of this paper so that it doesn't look repetitive to the other one that we just did. Okay. I'm really hoping that that tape lasts because if it doesn't, I don't know how to replace it, although it's supposed to be easy. We'll see. Okay, so following my lines, I glue that down. I'm noticing this is just popping up over here, so I'm gonna just add a little extra adhesive so that I don't have any issues later. So that's our fifth tab. The back side is going to be the wood grain panel. I'm not sure that it really matters which direction you have it, if you have light or dark. I will say this one, I did put that in the middle, but it doesn't really make a difference at all. I'm not even sure why I said that. Probably confusing people for no reason. That's what happens when you are doing classes and you're talking to yourself in theory. So if anybody has any comments, feel free to let me know. I always like feeding off of other people's words or thoughts because it is very hard. And I know we will pick this up once we get these bases down, but somehow it just seems a little repetitive. Okay. Linda says we're doing good with speed too. Thank you. All right. So this is now tab number 6. Tab number 6, I was waste not, want not with my paper. So I decided that I was going to use the front page, which the back is equally as gorgeous and obviously could be used. This, I decided to pop out the oven. So this was for quick and easy, or the stovetop, whatever that is. I'm being asked about my ink tool. This is actually from Ranger because I had bought a bulk set because I have a project going on, which I can't show you right now. But basically, I've taken all of my ink pads and I'm going to line each one up just like so. So it is from Ranger. I don't know if maybe it's like a newer batch or something. I'm not sure. But, okay, I'm not going to worry about the plant as I cut this along. The idea is I'm trimming out the top portion of that oven. I am going to wind up covering anything from the cover that we wouldn't want showing later. But I just thought that this was a fun way to show you how to even take that cover sheet. Our covers are printed on the same quality 100-pound cardstock that we have for all of our papers. So it is easy to mix and match. So whether you use the front side or the back side, it's all going to be the same. Okay. And I'm just going to go to like here. Did I do my trim good or no? Okay, so I'm kind of doing it like so. You can use your photo or your 4x6 in place. I am going to make sure that I cover up the 49 and Market logo as much as I'd love to show it everywhere. We don't need it for our project. Okay, so I'm going to position kind of like right under that line. I could have just popped this a little bit. Totally not necessary. I don't think I did it in my sample. I just think I have it positioned a little bit different with my photo, but we'll make that pop out. So that is a look at the 6th tab. Am I counting correctly? 6th tab. In my case, I did quick and easy. As you'll see, the photo pops through the back. I'm gonna just give it a little extra adhesive there so that we know that it's in place. Okay. Position. Okay, there we go. How we doing? All right. Do we have all the same paper pad as you have? The first page, I can't. The page on here was from the cover sheet. This is the cover sheet of that collection pad. The back side, I'm going to take the text. And I'm not going to bother even. Well, I'll ink. I like my ink. I'm an inker. What can I tell you? Okay. So the back side, I'm sorry, of the brown text, like the recipe album, We have the shelves, which this is super fun paper. So it is up to you in terms of which one you want to use. I just chose this one. Okay. Right, the 6x8 paper pad had 2 of each sheet of paper. There were 12 styles in this particular pack. 12 papers, a front cover, a back cover, and an extra 2 sheets, which were just kind of a bonus, which were our green and tan ones. So for our 7th tab, again, similarly, I am going to be taking this door and watering can and trimming that out for my 4x6 photo. I think some of these elements are just so amazing that you are able to, why waste it? You know, if I'm going to use my 4x6, it would seem a missed opportunity. So a very easy built-in embellishment would be to use the elements on the printed paper and kind of just trim like so. I'm not going to go too crazy with my watering can. I know it can be a little tedious on that handle. So I want to just be careful that I'm not going to rip it. And if I do, which I did in one of my samples, I will say you can always go back and glue it. And I just somehow nicked the tip of my craft knife. So hopefully there's no blood later if I find it. Okay, so my 4x6, I'm going to tuck that behind that page, again, using that framed section as my guide for my page. Okay, I'll flip through all the papers when I am done to show you a quick little 1-2 of the 8 tabs. We're almost at the end of this, so I just want to kind of get through it, and then we can get going with the rest of it. There are some fun little tips, tricks, and different ways to look at things and do things in here. I usually aim to try to incorporate something that might be a little outside of the box, and hopefully you will agree when all is said and done that I have done that. So, this is the 7th tab. The back side is going to be the sage plants. Hopefully you're still seeing me in the camera. Okay, hopefully nothing is hiding. All right, I'm getting a comment that perhaps my phone or maybe the stand is not positioned where it should be. So we will keep making sure that we are in screen, or at least hopefully. I can try to bring this a little bit forward without making anybody nauseous. And I would have liked to figure out how to zoom this camera in, and forgive me that I am not the technical person to know how to make it bigger on the screen, because I tried. This is the sage and the spices page. The back side is the 2 panels of the 6x4. So I am putting adhesive on that. Okay, and just giving this a nice basis, making sure I'm facing the correct direction. Almost there with the base of our pages. This is the, maybe I should have done this as the homework so that you could have had it all ready to go. Okay, so that's the 7th tab with the doorway, salads and soups. Again, we're in the garden. Thought that was a fun page. For vegetables, also going to be in the garden. So we are using the back cover. So this is the inside of that back cover. I do believe that is what I did. Yes. So I'm going to ink it up. And as you can see, I'm not exactly as careful as perhaps I should be. But I ink it, and this one was just simply positioned like so, no fussy cutting, just using every piece of paper that we can. Oops. Okay. Oh, I will say, because I don't want to come into a situation, I meant to plug my phone in, so I don't know if that's also a problem. Oh, Renee Okay. Renee, my local scrapbook store, Scrap-A-Latte, which gets theirs because I have all these samples. Okay, so we have the last but not least, 8th tab page. This is the green dotted, so it was kind of similar in nature to the other one in which we cut the doors out. For this page, I'm not cutting anything, but this was the paper that has the green dots, or I shouldn't say the green, it is a green, it's kind of the yellowish dots on the green paper. All right. All right, we are there. I will take a moment to flip through the 8 tabs pages so that you can see from start to finish. We'll then take these and kind of put them off to the side. Again, I'll go back later and I'll put in my reinforcement stickers on the fronts and backs of these, but just as an effort not to bore everybody watching this as you go, this way you can kind of get a sense of what's what. And I guess I'm going to take a moment while I'm flipping these. I'm going to position some of the easier mats or frames or photos that we have, just to again take it to another place so that you'll have some less pieces on the table in a little bit, which I think is helpful. You know, as we're going along, it's like sometimes you take out too many things and it just becomes chaos. So hopefully this way I can keep it in a manageable manner for you. So we have the first tabbed page. This is appetizers in my case. I'm going to take that green frame. The reinforcements and the labels that we had used for our tab pages, these were in the back of the binder set, and I probably should have walked through that at the beginning. The binder set came with several inserts. We had, in addition to the 8 pages, the 2 sticker sheets which are in the back. You'll have 2 pocket pages, 2 flip pages, as well as one of each of the different assorted page protectors. So all these little bits and pieces and the bases that we're using for this are located in the binder kit. So in the binder base, I should say. So you'll have these, they're just located after the white papers. So that's the reinforcements and the labels. Okay, so for our first tab, I'm taking this green, the greener frame, the 4x6, and I'm going to take off, I tried making it so I wouldn't ruin everything along the way. I had left some of the tape of my foam showing, okay? And I'm just gonna position it in the middle, kind of like that. So we see those little squares popping through. So this is gonna be a walkthrough of the base papers that we just put down on our pages, as well as adding some of the frames where we can to make it just a little bit easier. Once again, we're gonna get back to this first back side in a little bit. Our breads and pasta, we're gonna take that 4x6 that had the green mat on it. I'm gonna just kind of put a little adhesive in the middle because if I like to tuck a lot of embellishments later, so this way it gives me the opportunity to be able to slide different pieces if I need to. If for some reason I don't take advantage of that, or I find that the piece I have is slipping, I can always go back and add a little bit of glue or adhesive underneath. So my attitude with adhesive is less is more. You can always add after the fact, kind of hard to take it back sometimes. So this is the bread and pasta, second tab. The back side of that, I used 2 of my 4x6 mats. And again, I just really like the green border from the paper so that it gives it a little bit of a pop. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of adhesive. I position kind of like so. Again, I'm the type of person, I don't necessarily love all 90-degree angles. So I like to kind of give it a little bit more of a natural feel by offsetting the angles a little bit on those pages. Okay, so third tab was breakfast, and breakfast had our cut table. I've already put the white sheet of paper, so we just move on to the next. The back side was our checkers. I'm going to just take a 4x6. And again, I tried keeping the measurements of the photos pretty consistent so that it was easy to follow and plan for. Okay. So that is the back side of tab number 3. Tab number 4, which was desserts. Very simple, a 4x6 yet again. I took 2 here. Do I have 2? No, yep. Okay, and just positioning it like so. Very easy. So far, nothing fancy to get anybody complicated over. We will make sure we get to that at some point. So this way, you can see how my warped mind works when I make projects. But I had so much fun, and I'm just happy that I think that putting it together like this will make it easier in the end. The entrees, which is our 5th tab, that one we had already positioned the 4x6 photo. For the back side of that, I simply took the green, this is like about a 3x4, but I'm going to position it like a 4x3, and I'm going to put that in a horizontal way, kind of up top over here, and I'm leaving space for the bottom because I know one of the embellishments that I'm going to put later is a little bit larger to fill in that space. Again, I'm paying attention to the fact that I have a little bit of an opening here, so I can slide that photo in later. Okay. Quick and easy tab. This is quick and easy because we already did it. We have the back side. I'm going to take this larger frame. This is probably, if I had to guess, I'm going to go with about a 3.5 inch by 4 inch frame, a little bit more. I'm going to leave the opening towards the top just to make it a little easier, hopefully later. I don't even know if it's going to make it easier for me or not because I'm not sure what the rest is going to be yet because I don't have my sample of the finished project in front of me. Okay. So 7th tab was our door. This is soups and salads. We already had our photo in place. The back side of our tab with the sage and herbs and whatnot, I'm going to take the 2, what are these? 2.5 by 3 inch green frames. And again, I'm going to stagger them. Now for this, I'm probably going to put a little bit of foam tape behind one of them. So I'm going to, well, actually I'm going to skip the foam tape because I will tell you, even if I did it in my sample, I'm going to skip it here. As you're building these pages, they do get chunkier and chunkier, and we want to make sure that we have enough room for all of our bits and pieces. So I don't want to make too many of the interior pages have that depth to it because we want to get everything in. The vegetable page, I just simply left like this for now, as did the back side, which of course there was the adhesive I keep sticking to on my mat. Okay, so that is a look at the 8 tab pages. So I'm going to kind of stick them off to the side for the moment. We are going to go to our other insert pages, the page protectors, and then set up our recipe cards, and then we'll kind of work our way in terms of the order. So for now, once again, I'm simply putting this off to the side so that I can get my next bits and pieces, which will be the insert pages. So we have 2 of these like flip pages, and we have 2 pocket pages. Okay, I'm trying to get myself a little bit organized over here. It's easy to get unorganized, and that's why I'm trying so desperately to keep things in order. Okay, so we can go to the flip pages first. And for these, and I'm gonna I have my sample off to the side so that I make sure I don't choose the wrong pictures that look similar when you need glasses, and I actually have glasses that I should put on. Anyway, so for the 2 flip pages, I did do them the same way to make it easier. I did take out my recipe cards. So we have a pack of recipe cards, which came with both 4x6 and 5x7 recipe cards in both a horizontal and vertical manner. We're now looking for the vertical ones. I used both pieces. I took hopefully it's the 4 of these, and hopefully I have 4 and I'm not missing, oh, it's 3, right? 3 recipe card, I'm sorry, there's 3 of each style, so let me double check before I speak and don't know what I'm doing. So this one and this one are on the second, okay. And then this and that, okay. So it doesn't really matter, I mean, mixing and matching, but basically you're gonna take 2 of one and 2 of the other. We're gonna put these off to the side because they'll wind up going into our pocket pages. So it gets a little confusing, but it really doesn't have to be. And again, if you are flip and flop of which of the recipe cards you're using, it does not make a difference. It's a very slight little bit here. But so the idea is on the inside of my 2 flaps, I wanted to have the recipe and then I left the extra lines. So this way, if I needed more space, I know it's horrible to hide a side on these because you feel like it's such a waste, which we will use the different page protectors and the Insta Flips later so that you can maximize. But for this one, I just thought this was cute, and you'll see why later because there's some bits and pieces. But so I am going to put my adhesive all the way around on these. I'm going to line it up. I want to make sure, obviously, that I'm not covering the holes. So if I need to go over a little bit more towards the middle, I can. If I took those reinforcements just to show you, you know, they will cover on top, which again, totally fine. All right. Once again, anybody falls behind, you can obviously pause. You can go back and replay. If anybody, you pause and go back. We'll have it here for people to rewatch. Okay. So on that other side, again, I'm covering up the recipe because I wanted to give myself a little bit of extra room so that I would be able to write additional details. Because we wanted this, like the way the album was set up, didn't want to go too much over the holes and tried to keep things in a similar space. But so you will have to kind of play with your edges. You're going to bring in that outer edge recipe card a little bit. Like you can do it to the edge, you can bring it in a little bit, but not too much because you don't want to cover the seam of the page so that it bends. But you'll still have that nice white border from your left side page. Hopefully I made sense in the way that I just said that. So that's a look at the inside there. We'll do the same with this one. Again, I shouldn't say again, but you know, similar fashion, the 2 different pieces. If you want to ink the edges, feel free to do so. Alrighty. How is everybody doing? The nice thing is we don't have a time constraint. We can go on and on all day, or we can end it earlier. We'll see how long this winds up taking us, but at least we can get through it without a rush of, or an urgency of needing to finish because somebody else needs to start. So again, I'm keeping it kind of close to that seam, giving myself a little bit of space there so that I will have my room for my reinforcements. So again, if we need to come back to it, you can always come back and add those in later. This, you can either do it the same direction if it's upside down or not. Doesn't really make a difference. I might just change it up and put it this way just so it's a little bit different. There is some text in there, but it's so tiny I know I couldn't see it if I wanted to. Whoop. Okay. Whoop. I'm having a bit of a problem. Okay. I am not even there at all. All right, we're committing. That adhesive works really well, and if it bothers me that my top and bottom are a little off skew, well, I'm going to get over it, or I will fix it later by covering it with something else. We can always cover something else. All right, we're going at a good pace. I like it. I like it a lot. I am trying. Hopefully the nerves have calmed down and I'm not talking a mile a minute. Right now I'm trying to find pieces of paper. We need to cover the front and back of our bits, which I know I had pre-cut ahead of time, so I wouldn't have an issue. But let's find it. We are looking for, oh, I've already cut it, and that's why I can't find it, because it's cut in half. This was a 6x8 sheet of paper. It had the two panels that have a little bit of the wood around the edging over here. It just occurred to me, I did not bother to put this on Do Not Disturb, and since I don't want anyone disturbing, I'm gonna just add that now. Okay, so the two wood panels, the back side of this is that green chevron paper. So we are simply trimming it so that you have the two pieces of 6x4, which we will turn and add the portrait layer to. So I am going to put the green in the middle along the inside just to pop it a little bit. I did pre-ink these pages. And again, I'm just being cautious of where the edges are. So this way I can, oh, I keep pulling it down too far. Okay. There we go. So you're kind of messing with the eyes a little bit with that white border on these pages here because it is a little bit smaller, but that's okay, it works. This is going to be, this is the front flap of those two smaller pieces, the front flap. On the back flap, I am simply going to put photos on. So whether you choose to, I mean, I did in my sample put one of these on the back side of each. I just think at this point I'm not going to because I don't want to take too much depth because again, while they are chunky binder rings in these albums, like I said, they do kind of build up quickly. So for me right now, I'm going to hold off putting these. If I need them later to show you embellishments, I'll add them. But so this, the back side would be in place of a photo. So again, I'm just sticking that out to the side. So these are my two little side panels done the same. And then we have our half page bits and pieces. Okay. And for those of you following along on directions, what number are we up to? This is about number 9 in the directions, or halfway through number 9. Those were the two pockets, the two 4x6s. And then we're going to go to the two pocket pages. So again, I want to preface that I guess you're looking for your open pocket to face out. I could have been conservative with my paper, but I am one of these people, I have certain issues. I have a lot of issues. Let's just discuss that. But I don't like it when I have a pocket, if I can avoid it. I don't always do this, so I shouldn't say that this is a thing. And why am I trying to find paper that I can't seem to find? We are looking for that bookshelf of paper. So what did I do wrong? So I've done something wrong, or I cannot find my bookshelf paper. What was on the back side of the bookshelf? Did I goof and do something wrong? And if I did, well, I guess we've all done something wrong on this video, which is fine if you're following me. I have no idea. Simply no idea. I'm going to try and take a little peek. The bookshelf, the back side was the brown text. So did I do an extra sheet of paper somewhere, or am I just simply, oh, there it is. It's literally hiding in my directions. Oh, saved. Oh, that was a little nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, did I use the wrong paper and teach everybody to use the wrong paper? Nope, we have it. Okay, phew. Crisis averted. No misuse of paper. Back to my other tangent at hand. You could trim your paper a little bit below your pocket. I like a smooth transition when sticking things in the pocket, so I'm going to use the full sheet of both of these sheets of paper. Again, totally up to you in terms of your style, so I leave that to your discretion. You certainly don't have to ink the bottom, you're not going to see it, but I am going to position that. So the bookshelf had the text on the back side. I'm gonna just put that adhesive all the way around. I'm obviously really concerning myself with that border around the right side edge and the top. And I'm gonna position it like that. I did wind up taking a little bit of adhesive on that opening just to kind of protect it if I have smaller bits and pieces, but to seal it up. Obviously, the position of the rings once in your binder will seal it. So that was one page. And then the second one, I had used the open wood grain. I was like open wood grain, it's just wood grain. And I did the same thing. Making sure I cover those little bits and pieces or the score from the pocket. And I'll put on a little adhesive there, okay? So that makes the 2 pocket fronts. Once again, I had taken another sheet of paper. This had the food entrees on the back side. And I had taken a half of each of these. It does, I know, again, probably doesn't matter. But I had positioned the open stove along with the bookshelf, and then I had taken this piece and put it on that one. And actually, I didn't use this one in my sample, but I don't. I'm gonna go, I hope it doesn't matter. I did use, must have been this one. Yeah, it was this sheet of paper, but I'm sure that we are fine. I say that, and of course now I'm gonna go into panic mode again. It was technically the backside of the eggs and cream, but I'm gonna just run with this because I already cut it, or should I not, and not teach you to do it wrong? All right, let's not do it wrong. I'm gonna put these aside for another day. Hopefully, I need them cut in half. I will trim this one. This is the backside of the eggs and cream. Sorry for confusing everybody. Really not the end of the world. They are very similar pieces. They were just positioned the other direction. So I will add some ink. Whoop, add a lot of ink. You know, at this point, I think, actually all throughout, I think the pieces can be interchanged very easily. So it is no harm, no foul. But we will try to follow the directions to make life a little bit easier for everyone. So I'm going to use the guide of the placement of the paper from up top to try to line up how I'm positioning the bottom piece so it just looks like it has the partition from there, okay? These off a little bit to the side. Okay. Perfection is overrated. We are cruising along here. Hopefully you guys are having fun. Not the intense part yet. This is the nice easy going. We'll get to the rest of it kind of a feel. On the back side of this sheet, I had used, which again, up to you, but I did do the wavy plaid. And then on the other one, I used, I was wondering where I did that. I used this sheet, which is the back side of the journaling card, which I know the journaling cards are super cute, but I did use it, sorry. You can obviously flip and flop and do whatever you like if you like to save journaling cards or use them for another part. So I am just covering this up. Easy peasy. These pages are the same size as the main pages that we used with the tabs, so it makes it easy. Everything's gonna line up nice for us. Got a little adhesive there. And I add this. I did get the text the right direction. Okay. Look like I have something mark. Yeah. Whatever. Okay, so that's the back side of those 4x6 sheets. So we are making progress with our pattern papers as well as our frames, our photos, our recipe cards. I can say that in the pockets, I had added one of each. I had the 2 vertical 4x6s left. And then I also took the, which one? The one with the green on that and the, both with the green. Okay, so the 2 with the green dots. So I have 2 of the 3 here. Again, not that it matters, but I had taken one of each of these. You can ink around the edges and kind of just added them in as my extra recipe cards. You can purchase additional recipe cards if you want to fill this up more. Obviously, you can, write out your recipes on some plain paper or whatnot. You can do journaling and add more on your other bits and pieces or add less photos, completely flexible. So this is a look at those 4 pieces. Again, a photo will go back there. So I'm going to put now these off to the side. So this way we start having our different pieces fixed. We will then go to, if we're following directions, since that was number 9 and 10, we're now going to go to those page protectors. So in addition to the papers that came in your binder, we had the 4 different styles of page protectors. Let's see if I actually got it right. Well, I will say that. Was that paper? Yes. Okay. So you should have, what do you have left with paper? You have a sheet of paper that has the plaid on one side and the brick on the other. This is going to go in your full page protector. I'm going to leave it just for a moment. We are going to wind up using a bit of washi tape at the front, at the bottom, and the top of that page just to give it a little pizzazz. But since we don't have the washi tape out just yet, I'm just going to hold it there as a placeholder for right now, and we'll kind of come back to that with the washi tape. We have the 2 4x6s, we have the 2 3x4s and a 4x6, and then we have the quad panel here. So this is where we're going to use the pre-matted photos that we had on that green and tan, and I could have, which is probably why I had these, or actually, no, but we use these later. You could put another photo on the back side. For now, I'm simply just going to leave it if I could figure out which page protector is which. All right, instead of talking about my glasses, I'm just going to put them on because maybe they'll help me. Okay, so we slide those in. It is a nice tight fit, kind of makes it, I don't know, I like it because then this way it doesn't have too much extra space for in between. Just makes it a smidge trickier to put into your page protector, especially when you're doing a live and you're trying to act like it's so smooth. You can obviously always trim down your pieces if for some reason your measurement wasn't perfect, like it looks like mine's giving me a hard time, but it will work. If your measurement is slightly off, feel free to trim it a little bit on the sideways. You can see I have a little extra gap over here. So I'm going to put that on the page protector. I don't know if you can even see it on the camera. This is the one that had the 2 up top and then has the open 4x6. On this one, so this was also a quad panel, and I chose not to use the bottom portion as a quad. I'm going to cover it with 2 extra pieces. And again, there's so many things that you could do with these. You don't have to. You could use it as the 4 panels if you choose. What did I do with that one? Okay, for the rest of these pieces with the 4x6s, I used, where did I use what? I am looking for a portrait 4x6. This is like the guessing game, right? So we have our 4x6 landscape, landscape recipe cards. I'm going to go with the one with the wood around here for the top part of here. Hopefully all these pages will make a little bit more sense as I go. Oh, Caitlin says I'm doing a good job. Thank you, Caitlin. I like to hear that. I need my affirmations. And good news. that piece of paper I cut before that I thought I was going to use before, I'm now using now, so it's totally fine. So I am going to use this piece of the panel. This was the back of that entree kind of sheet of paper, and I'm going to put him in the bottom part, and then I'll take the back side, I'm going to flip it. The opening on the page protectors is obviously just the one side, but so I'm going to allow the back side of my recipe card, and I'm going to flip and put that other 6x4 panel in the back. Okay, so this is a look at the two 6x4 pockets. You have the recipe card up top with the wood grain, and you have the sheet of paper that had the entrees trimmed in half, and with one side facing out the front and one side facing out the back. So that is that page, nice and easy. Okay, I am flipping through my sample to find the others, just making sure that I give you the right ones. On this is the pocket that had the quad. So this is a 4-panel pocket over here. For this one, I'm not necessarily a pocket girl, so I kind of took this and said, you know what, why can't I cover over it? I can cover over it with some other bits and pieces. And for this, I am looking for what? The other sheet of the, or the other half, I should say. I'm gonna take this top 6x4 piece. This is the second sheet of that entree paper. I am going to trim that in half so I can use that on the front. And for whatever reason, I decided to change up my paper, and I am using, which one? One of the panels from the back of the like sage and herbs page. So I'm just gonna trim out one of those pieces. Okay, so basically that'll go on the back side. So I'm gonna take a little ink, because I like my ink. You can obviously, with these, you could go back and ink them later. There's obviously no reason why you can't be taking them in and out of the pocket, or actually I shouldn't say that. This one we're not putting in and out of the pocket. So no, this you would want to ink ahead of time. So for me, I'm simply covering up both sides of that bottom to keep it with the pockets at the top and then the pockets at the bottom. I'm gonna just, for the sake of contrast or something, put that underneath to make it easier for me to see, to line up. Okay, so I take my first one, and then very easy to obviously follow with that second pattern behind. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep the text facing up. I do that. Okay, so for me, I don't know. I'm just that kind of a pocket page person apparently. So keeping it that this goes on top of that quad panel. And then on the official pocket one, I did take another recipe card. This is the one with like the brown text around the sides. And I'm going to figure out where the opening is, slide that in there. So super easy on those. All right, I'll give you a quick little walkthrough. I'm gonna leave my full page 6x8 off to the side here, just because again, when I pull out my washi tape for the next step, I'll come back to this. So that was the full panel. The two 6x4 panels was the recipe card on top, followed by the same sheet of paper trimmed in half so that you have it facing out the front and the back. And then this is the back of the recipe card. Then we had the official two 3x4s and one 6x4. We just simply added the 6x4 recipe card that then you can use the back side, and that pops out the back. Again, you can add photos to the back of your tan sides. And then last but not least, this was the quad page protector that had the 4 panels for 3x4 inch. And I simply covered over the bottom half with 2 pieces of 6x4. So I hope that that makes sense. So that's a look at those 4 pocket pages. Again, I'm leaving that off to the side. Okay, so again, trying to keep all my bits and pieces together so that I know which end is up. And moving along, we are now, if you were following on directions, with the exception of using the washi tape on that front, we are going along to number 13. And this is where we start getting a little bit more exciting, in my opinion. A little out of the box, a little trying to think of something to do a little bit different for everybody. So we are going to take the 4 remaining, I say 4 remaining, hopefully, 4 remaining 5x7 portrait recipe cards, because 5x7 makes sense in our album that it would be portrait. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink a minute. Okay. And we are going to make these into their own interior pages. So how are we doing that? We are clearing off space. I am looking also for the 5x7. We have our brand new Insta Flips. This is the assortment pack, which is the only pack at this moment that has the 5x7 size in it. So you're gonna get 4 pieces of each, the 3x4, the 4x6, and the 5x7. So I had a lot of fun using these. I hope you guys will too. I'm taking those 4 5x7 panels, and I will be sliding in each of my recipe cards. I personally like to just keep following format that you're going, well, actually, I shouldn't say that you should. You will want to face them forward, and the reason being is that your adhesive is on the back, which for this particular one might not even matter, but you want to take note that there is an adhesive strip on the back side, so wherever you're positioning it, you want to face forward whatever it is you want to face forward. So for me, I'm going to make sure that I take each of these recipe cards and position in each of the pockets like so. Very easy. I am going to have to remember what my measurement is. Alrighty. So super easy, 4 pages, 3 were the same, 1 happens to be different, or you could even mix and match those other ones if you want to match these throughout the album. Don't know that it really matters. You know, you get the recipe cards, which the 5x7s actually have room to write 2 different recipes. You have the front and the back. All right, so that's like that. So I wanted to make these their own pages. So there is the adhesive on these. So in order to kind of give it a little bit more stamina or more oomph, or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to take the 6x12 inch panel of washi tape. This has like all the text and the sage and the herbs and all of that stuff on the back side, or not on the back side, on the front of it. And we're going to cut 1 1.25 inch strips. So I have my trimmer off to the side here. I'm doing 1 1/4 inch strips, and I'll show you why. I'll just do the first one just to show you as we go. Basically, I am going to position it. I want to make sure that I'm going to leave that opening just in case. Well, obviously I need to go back and write my recipe. If for some reason you had already filled out your card and you want to secure it for all of time, you can obviously go over the opening with your washi tape, but I do say that as a word of caution that you are going to want to leave that as an opening. I will say, because again, you know, when you're on TV doing a live video, you always run into issues. You know, I use my finger to kind of like peel up the corner. If for some reason I like dented this, or I don't know, I didn't like it, you can obviously always go over the opening. I'm just going to turn this at a tilt to make it a little bit easier for me to see. I'm going to kind of take it like this, because if I go over, it's no big deal. I can obviously always trim it down, and I'm going to do that, okay? So where's my scissor? I'm going to flip it. I like to leave it now on the washi strips, so this way I can then, obviously, it's easier to pick this up later, so I'm just going to put that off to the side. I can trim anything at the top. Before I fold it over, I am going to peel off that adhesive strip that came on it, and I am carefully going to fold this over. I'm using the see-through portion of what's on the front side as my guide. If there's a little like overflow or whatever from side, I'd rather see it this way is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that made sense. I'd rather it be edge to edge lining up as best I can, folding it over that way. And even if it's not, if there's a little excess in here, it's totally fine, because what I will be doing, I'll trim a little off the top there. So we're gonna do this for all 4 pages. You can use your other pages as a guide for where you are going to be punching holes. You will need to do that for these 4 pages. Again, you can do it now, later, or anything in between. Let's see if I can get this right. I'm an eyeballer. I should measure, but I don't measure. So I'm gonna just position that like that. Figure out where my little doohickey's coming through on my, am I getting it? I'm like, I can't see. All right, we're gonna wing it. All right, looks like I got it. That's pretty exciting. I can go back. All right, I was a little off there. I probably should have done this in a more careful manner, but I am going to live with it. You know, I got a little, wasn't as forceful there. We can also use our reinforcement stickers to hide any imperfections or errors that we might have made. So no harm, no foul for me. I'm just gonna add another one. I could have taken off the first one if I didn't want it there, but I'm not gonna concern myself with it. I am going to add a smidge of glue just to make sure that I have it all in place where I want. Hopefully. That was the right hole that I just put it through. Yeah. Okay, so if for some reason, if you're using this as a guide and not as careful as you could have been like I was, you can easily cover up with one of your reinforcements. So we will be repeating this. I apologize if it is repetitive, but we're gonna do this for the 4 pages. I get it takes a little bit of time, so the washi is over the adhesive and flip the page. Yes, Stacy, I will redo this step yet again for the next one. So if anybody wants to follow along again, I will repeat it. And actually, I'm gonna have to repeat it a few times because I did not, or actually I could do it 2 more times and we can always go back and do these after the fact. So once again, I'm taking the washi full panel of tape. I am trimming it to 1 1/4 inches wide. I'm just gonna cut my 4 pieces now so I know that they're done. I take the 4, or I need 1 more. You will have a little excess. I will say I love this trimmer, it makes it easier. Okay, so I have my 3 additional panels. Here's my 1 finished one. We will take, oh, Joey, you like what I'm doing? Thank you, Joey. Leanne, thank you. I know everybody's good. Anybody have questions as I'm going to repeat this so many times? Okay, I'll say it one more time so that I'm not focused on comments, that I'm focused on doing this. Once again, I have my opening to the front. I want to make sure that when I am positioning the front side, I'm not covering that opening. So I kind of just give it like a little bit of a spacing. Trying to keep it even. I don't know if I am or not, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of flip it. Okay, so I'm using the washi tape. I'm using that as my guide. Put that off to the side. Before I flip the washi tape over, I'm going to remove the adhesive strip that came on the Instaflips. Okay. I'm not seeing questions, so if you have any questions, you can repost them if you don't mind, because I can only kind of see the top half, or oh, there might be a delay. Oh, all of a sudden messages are popping up that I'm trying to follow along. So we are not, no, that's correct. So for these 5x7 pages that we're doing here, this is a different way to use those Instaflip pages than is the normal traditional, which we'll get to and we will use that way, but this is just the 5x7s that I am creating pages for my binder with those Instaflips. So because I wanted to have a varying size of a page inside my book, I thought this was a clever little way to come up with a smaller sized page that still acts as a page protector would otherwise, okay? So I don't know if there's any other questions. Okay, 49 in park. Oh, yes, Christy. Sadly, the 49 in Market binder punch will not work with these. And I tried like a lunatic to get a 70 millimeter, which is what ours are, 70 millimeter really chunky binder clip. I could not do so. I literally could not make it happen. So I went with the added decision that a single hole punch is just going to have to do. So this go around, I'm going to take my previously set one, which I should have confirmed probably that fits. It fits perfect in my binder. So I'm going to take that, and now I'm just going to take my punch, and hopefully, I can't really see it in there. I don't know if other people have this issue or not, but I'm gonna try to get it. So yeah, so sadly, you do need a single hole punch or an 80 millimeter. I will tell you, if any of you are lucky enough, like I am, to have the Tim Holtz Ideology one that I don't believe is in production at all anymore, because I did try searching, this one is 80 millimeters. So if you have the Tim Holtz Ideology in your stash and you've held on to it for the last 15 years like I did, you're in luck, people. You do have an 80 millimeter punch. Separate of that, we're on the single punch. Okay, so now that's 2 sheets down. I'm lining up, and now I'm just going to repeat to do the others, okay? All right, so one more time, I'm going to repeat this. I don't know if everyone's following along. I'm going to do it for 2 more pages. The hardest part for me is trying to get this washi off the backing, but as I said, you have extra space, so if for some reason you kind of ruffle it or whatnot, you can just add it above and then trim it down. So once again, I'm taking the open side, and I am going to leave a little slight gap so that I don't adhere the opening, and if I do, kind of like I might have here, yep, I'm just going to pop that open before it really seals too much. It was just on the cusp there. I'll flip it, and I will do that. Okay. So before folding it over, I can do the top before or after, but so before flipping it over, I'm going to peel off my adhesive strip, and I am going to use that inside look at the top layer as my guide to keep that even. Any excess you can simply trim with a scissor. Okay. So I'm going to probably just wait to put my hole punches in all at once for these last 2. So last but not least, 4th page. Again, if you're watching along and want to move on and you've fallen behind, you can obviously go back and do these pages. There wasn't much in terms of embellishments, maybe some rub-ons and whatnot that we'll wind up putting on later, or you can always go back and finish these. The beautiful thing about the binder is that if you don't have a page done at the time you are doing it, you can just add it later. So it makes it super easy. Okay, so 4th page for me. That I did not slice very nicely, but I'll go back and do it. I peel this off, and I fold it over again. Oh, this I have a little. Okay. And I just liked giving it the reinforcement of the washi to protect it, and so that way the holes don't rip too easy. That way it covers up the adhesive backing from the page that it originally was. So again, just a different look. It is something else you can do with it. Of course, you could add these to pages. You could add, you could have taken this, you could have just adhered it. You could have put it like this and it would have been totally fine. So there are plenty of options, and that was the moral to the story with doing this, was just to show you there's something a little bit different that can be done. And totally up to you. I am going to take the one that I already punched the holes in, kind of give it my good black marking here with my Sharpie. I'm going to just line these up. I'm a little lazy, so I'm going to do the 2 at once and hope for the best. Yep. Sorry, I'm not sure. I have to pay attention to this to not even know if I'm even showing you on the camera if that worked. Okay, so, yep, they lined up more or less. You can obviously, if something didn't work, I will test it in my binder. Just make sure, yep, I have no issues with the space that I had. I can go back, add in those reinforcements. I like to do, you have enough stickers to do both the front and back of each of the pages that we create for this album. So there is plenty of options for you. I will add them a little bit. I'll just do the front sides just to show you. The way that I guess I punched my holes, there is a little bit of a gap between the edge, but I am just fine with that. And okay. All right, so everybody clear with how we did that? I hope so, because that was 4 times, so hopefully you got it. If not, pause and rewind. Pause and, oh, I said, well, I'm so old. Did I just date myself by saying rewind? Okay, so we have the 4 5x7 recipe card pages that we added the washi tape to. I am gonna just kind of like leave these pieces that we started with off to the side. Don't remember if I use them or not later, but we'll leave them here for this particular page. And actually, I'm still gonna leave it until we do the next one. And I know why. The reason I'm not gonna have you do this yet is I was kind of using leftover pieces from this for our next step. So I want to make sure that we have the correct width for that before we go and do anything here, even though I think I might have used the extra pieces, but again, better to be safe than sorry. So let me skip to the next. So we have our 4 5x7 Insta Flip page. I'm sorry, 4 5x7. Did I just say 5x7? I'm losing my mind at this point. The 4 of those pages. I am now looking for the 4 4x6 or 6x4. We're going to use them as 6x4s, and I'm going to just make sure. I want to also position these so that the opening is facing front, and the reason being is I want to make sure that I will be able to adhere the back to the back. This is going to be the back side to our first tab. So this was our appetizer page, or in my case, the appetizers. Yours may be different, and you may have left it blank at this point. So the reason, or what we are creating, and I'll just give you a quick flip of my finished one, so this way you can see. So we're going to use those 6x4s, 4 of them, to use our 6x4 landscape recipe cards, so that we can flip them. As you'll see in between, I'm using that washi tape to kind of just bridge the gap between the white base, since we didn't put a 6x8 paper on the back. So those are empty on the back. We could obviously go back with little bits and pieces later. You can add in another card here. So just to give you a little look at what we're creating, we are going to make sure that the back side of the Insta Flips, the adhesive will secure to our base, and then we'll go back with our washi tape and we will use it to bridge the gap. The one that I will caution you on is going to be this top one. And I learned that the hard way from my first sample. Basically, I wanted to make sure that I could slide this in and out, so that one piece is trimmed accordingly, so that way I can slide something in and out. So I hope that that makes sense, at least on the pre-visual of what we are accomplishing here. I'm going to go and find my 6x4 recipe cards, which I do believe this is the last of the recipe cards that we are looking for at this moment. We've kind of used them all up, which is great. I have, what do I have? I had 2 and 2, so I'm going to alternate them. They're similar in composition, but I always like to give a little variety by flipping and flopping. So you'll see you have one with the little green tab here. You have the green tab again. We're going to switch them. Okay. And then let's go down these here. Okay. So I'm sure that there is a way more professional way to do this than what I'm about to do, but I'm of the, I like to enjoy and not stress things. So this is just how I did it. And again, you are free to do what you want. I will say when you're positioning those, you want to go as close to the left-hand side as you can. And the reason being that you don't want to, when it's in your binder, you'll have a little resist so that the flaps stay down, but obviously you don't want to have an issue of lifting them up and down from where your binder mechanism is going to be. So I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to use that as a guide and go flush against the left side before adhering it. So I remove my tape. I'm going to go bottom and yeah, I could have probably lifted it just a smidge. Let's see. All right. I'm not going to care. I'm going to move this, and that's totally fine that it did this because I'm going to cover it with the washi tape. But, okay. Oh, I keep sliding my hand. Okay. So like so, I'm then going to go flip up to the top so that I can have a position. Now, you know, the top you could, I'm trying to think this out. I'm like, we could do it different. If I fold it over this way, it's going to probably stick out a little. So I am going to stick to what I did. And I'm just going to use that top flap to go here to here because I'm going to use that washi tape. So again, this is facing out and open. So is my bottom. And then I'm going to take my other two and I'm going to kind of eyeball them. And I can measure them for you if you want. Or actually, I'm going to tell you my little trick that I am now remembering as I do it. I use the lines in the recipe card as my guide of where my placement was going to be. And I want to say it was just over the second darker line, right? That looks about right. So it's almost like a half or like, right, just under the dotted line. So let's see if that makes sense. I'll show you mine and then you can, I'm using the bottom of this as my guide and it's like, I just want to cover it. Of course, this is sliding out. Let me just pop that in. It was like that, yeah. I'm using that top. Okay, so it's the half a one above the, in between the dotted line here and the solid. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, so I'm gonna, once again, kind of like not pushing it in as I move it. Okay, and I am in line. I'm just gonna push those down. Easy peasy, right? But fun. I mean, isn't that cute for recipe cards? Boom, boom, boom. We flip, we flop. This is, I figured appetizers was the one that I thought would probably be the thing I had the most recipes for, or the things I like the most. I love a good appetizer, so I chose to do that here. Of course, you can mix and match your pages and do as you please. But yeah, it is a fun waterfall. So I had a good time with that, and I said, oh, perfect use for these washi strips. I'm thinking, do I need them or can I make my life easy? I'm going to cut at the 6-inch mark. This should be 12 inches if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 12 inches long. So I'm going to cut in half at the 6 inches, which is what we should have side to side. And because we're going to use the same one, I'm going to hopefully not yell at myself later for doing that, because we are going to take a 6-inch strip over the top and bottom of that paper that we had before, but we're going to use this. And I think the easiest thing to do is, yeah, so the vegetable one I used on my bottom over here, and again, no rhyme or reason. You can really use as you please. Beautiful thing about washi tape is if it gets a little mushed up together, we can unmush it. Keeping in mind, as you put this placement down, you want it doesn't matter to me that I have a little, extra white up here. It's the idea that I'm seeing it. I just want to make sure that I'm leaving enough of a gap on the recipe card so that I'm closing up the edge from the Instaflip, but yet I'm keeping that flap open. So I'm going to use that one on this bottom one skip one and do it on the in-between. So I'm going to take the second one, and again, really no rhyme or reason, other than I will say I used this one or the food one on the other page, which now I got to go back and look. But I'm going to, again, cover up edge to edge and lay that down. In the middle here, I used the larger spoon and mixing bits. I'm going to raise this up a little. It's a little bit thinner, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of an even gap between the two. And again, just gives it a nice little visual in between the pages so that they flow a little bit better. And then last but not least, I had mentioned that we had this slight bit up here. So given the width of these different pieces, which you can kind of fold the plastic backing a little bit, so this way you can see where it is, but I'm gonna measure it for you. I'm gonna go with, you want a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna look to have a 1/2 inch of my spoons on top. It could be a little bit under, it's kind of, I mean, and again, it's really subjective, but just to show you, it's like a 1/2 inch because I want to make sure that I have that opening for my page. I didn't line that up so well. I love washi tape. Lets you redo. I'm always a redoer. You can actually see that one below it kind of pops out a little bit. So it almost looks like those forks are kind of coming up. But so this is a look at those washi strips. We have the little forks sticking up. We've got the vegetables. We got the spoons, and we got the other vegetables. Again, when you go back, I'm almost positive you can cover this with something else, but since I didn't do it in my sample, I'm not messing with it now. So that's a look at that first appetizer page. I'll kind of leave that over here, and I'll go back to this. This was our full pocket page. The full pocket page, again, this paper just was like, oh, it needs a little something, so what am I gonna do? So for that page, I did take the entree looking washi strip, and I made a border on top and below. I'm not going to do it, but I will show you. And if for some reason like your measurement's slightly off, obviously you could just trim it with a knife or just bend it right over. You could, did I do it on? Yeah, I did top and bottom here. The other thing you could do is you see you still have your two little picket fence ones. You can take, and I'll show you in a minute, well, after I'm done paying attention to this, I'm gonna go right over. I love washi for no other reason, well, plenty of reasons, but I like how you can, it's translucent, so you get an effect of the paper that's down below. I didn't do it perfect, but nobody's gonna really be the wiser. I will take my craft knife and just trim that off. Okay, so this was just a way of taking that washi tape, making that paper a little more exciting. I'll point out to you now, I'm not gonna do it later, both your packaging for your blendable rub-ons and your washi sheets have that kind of base. It is a shinier paper, but you can certainly go and use these papers. You could have even probably used one inside the page protector because that's already got the gloss to it. And you can use this as an additional page for your album if you like. So if you trim those to 6 by 8, you now have 2 additional pages. So once again, you could even take that if you wanted and make it your shiny to go in your page protector. So, and you have the additional bits that you can create that from. Does that make sense? Hopefully. We try to recycle packaging. We try to reuse everything where we can. Why not, right? The only thing is it is a little bit of that glossy material. I know some people are opposed to it. Others don't care. Another fun thing you can do with this little bit and piece is you can flip this. You can use this as a cute little pocket if you want. So you could stick that in some little page. If you closed up the sides, you know, you could decorate it. So this packaging from those two pieces, very usable, very user-friendly for right now, just to keep my desk a little bit cleaner than it might otherwise be. I am going to stick the extra packaging pieces and my extra washi off to the side, because we're gonna wind up getting into die cuts and laser cuts and all kinds of pieces. So at this moment, I will say the only other pages or the papers I haven't used yet, I guess I for some reason had these two halves and I had this sheet, which again, you can create another page from this by just poking holes in it, whatever you want, but I am gonna put these off to the side. So I know somebody had done this in advance of my video, how dare they, and had mentioned that they had an extra sheet of paper. There is an extra sheet of paper. You can obviously use it and make it work for you, but at this moment, this is pretty much the base of our pages that we are working on. So I'm going to walk you through my advanced sample that I made, and this is what I had done for my directions. So just to show you and walk you through which pages go in what order. Okay, we are being joined by Myrta. Welcome, welcome. You'll have to go back and get caught up, but it is all good. So these are our particular pages. This is going to be the order in which we put them. And on here on my sample, I did have all my reinforcements in place. So not that we did it yet, but I'll mention. So we have on the inside cover, we're going to put that other frame. This was the wooden frame that I had matted with some foam tape. The idea that I love good dimension and I love foam tape or chipboard or whatever it is to give some dimension. The reason I did it on both the inside cover and the front cover is your album has a lot of space top to bottom. It's here where we had a lot of depth that I was trying to avoid adding any extra layers that we didn't need, because as you will see, we're gonna get real close with all these little bits and pieces and make this a chunky monkey binder. So what we have not done, but I'll skip to, and this is where I perhaps can go off directions because I think it's more about just getting things in place, and I can walk you through the various pieces. So on the inside, we had that frame as well from our die cuts, which I don't believe I had you set up. I'm now gonna pull these out. I'd like to know what I did with these frames, because now I'm like, where did they go? Because I had these on the side. We'll figure that out. Oh, was it the front cover? No. Okay, we'll figure out where my extra frames go. We're using this one on the inside cover, as well as our die cut door frame. Okay, so here you'll find it in your packaging, and you can mat a photo behind, or you can do it later. Now, the thing that I did in my sample here, oh, I totally skipped on you people. We did miss one other thing, and I'll do this first and then I'll go back to the missing piece, which is fine as we get here. Okay, our door frame. I'm just trying to find a little bit of a piece of paper to mat behind my open windows. I would do obviously a photo in real life. I say in real life I would do a photo. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive down here so that I can slide that in later, but for the sake of a sample, I always like just showing it with the white. So these are added to the inside front cover. I did take the liberty of also adding some foam behind the right hand side and that bottom edge, so that if you are using adhesive on your large 4x6 frame, you're evening off this other piece so that it is nice and flush. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So you're adding the foam, and actually I can show you here if I actually knew where my foam was, but I don't know. I think I used up my strips. So just to show you, the placement is kind of like along this side. If I had a strip, it would make it a whole lot easier. And then just that tiny bit along the bottom. So, like so, we'll keep it nice and flush, okay? All right, everybody's busy working, right? That's why you guys got quiet on me again. I am gonna go back because we did not do our 3x4 waterfalls. So we'll figure out in here what I missed and we'll kind of tackle it that way. How does that sound? Hopefully that works for you. Okay, so inside cover, appetizers, front tab that now had our beautiful waterfall 6x4 cards. I then add in, and maybe I'll even do this as you guys do it, so then I don't lose my pieces, which I should have done the front, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm taking all the pile of stuff that we did, and thank God, I guess we are now having a large area space on the video, so you can follow along in this whole direction of things. I'm then taking, I guess, doesn't really matter, but I'll take this one. This had the green border. This was one of those pages. Again, I will probably have to go back and add all of my reinforcements at some point, but just to give you that idea of placement, I think it was very important on these. You can also give a little extra security to the reinforcements with some added glue once you're happy and have them in place. So I'll flip that. I then just, and again, you can add, mix and match your pages any which way you like. This is just simply how I had done the sample book. Okay, okay, so for the 3x4, this is where I did one of them. And this is where I did one of those sheets of paper that we had. I took the card that was left here and I figured I would just make this a journaling card. So this was a 6x4. This had the entrees on the back, and what you can do is do really one of very many things. I'm going to just trim it in half. I could fold this if I want. I could put that on the back side. I can also take a 3x4 photo, which I don't think I had prepared an extra one, so I might be one short on you guys from the directions, but I can take that, put it into, I would ink the edges, of course, but I'm going to take that, and this is where I did make it a page on to, well, this is going to get confusing, isn't it? I have the one with the brown, and I'm upside down, but I'm not upside down. I don't know what I am. Maybe I put it in backwards. I'm going to take that. I could punch it through yet again. So on this one, which I guess I already took my reinforcements, I'm gonna just peel those reinforcements right off because they do come off nice and easy. I'm going to take this 3x4, position it in the middle, or at least thereabouts. And this way it kind of makes like a little side page. And I just thought that that was fun because I did have an extra one from the next waterfall that we're going to do, which is this is where I need to just go a little backwards, or maybe I went a little off the directions. So where am I? A little off. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this. If somebody has a trick with this, please certainly let me know. Okay, so I'm going to position these back in place. I could take my glue and really secure them if I wanted to. Oh, I have the back side already done. All right, so now this creates that next page, which I'm gonna just put off to the left side. So we're building our pages as we go. We now have the breakfast tab. Okay. Oh, best book ever. Thank you, Linda. I'm telling you, I had so much fun with this book. Love this collection. Love every bit and piece about it. Love that Dennis was like, no, we are doing a recipe album. And I'm like, sounds good. Never did one. Why not? So brilliant, brilliant. Absolutely could not be happier with how this turned out, and glad to hear that you guys are appreciating that as well. Hopefully I'm keeping the pieces somewhat in sync and easy to find. So the next page is going to be the official 2-panel 6x4 page protector. And again, you guys can mix and match. This was just, you know, the little bits and flaps that I did along the way. We have our desserts. And here's the part that I forgot to get to. So should we do that now? Yes, let's just do that now. I'm gonna close this so that I don't pinch my skin on that opening. And I'm actually gonna kind of put that off for a second so that I have a little extra space here. So once again, we're creating a waterfall. Hey, Clint. Thank you for joining and thank you for loving the book. I'm creating another waterfall with the 3x4, this time just 3. I didn't use the washi tape, as you can see. I just used the file tabs that were part of the die cut set, along with my, oh my goodness, trying to find things. We have 3 4x6, or yeah, I'm sorry, 4x3. I know my measurements. So I'm gonna just pop these in. Again, making sure that the adhesive is off the back side. Okay, so we have 3 pieces, and then we go looking, we go fishing. We go fishing for our pieces. I am looking for the 3 file tabs in the die cut set that have the little dots on them. So if you're looking for pieces and you want to start piling things together, feel free. I usually, and I don't even know if you can see it on the side, I'll take like my titles in one pile, I'll take my strips in another, tags in another. This way, just I have some sense of order when I do start going looking for things. Not that it's a perfect science. You certainly need a lot of table space, so depending on where you are doing this will depend on how much space you have to work with. But just to give a little bit of a little order while you guys are getting that together. Okay, so we have our 3 tabs. And for this, I will probably use this, even though I really want to use my score tape, but I won't for now. Once again, if for some reason whatever tape you're using isn't strong enough, you can always go back and put adhesive. So did I have any clever tips or tricks in my directions for how to do this, or did I simply wing it like I'm about to, because I have no idea at what point I am even up to in directions? Why am I not even seeing it on directions? Did I skip this on my directions? Do we have it? If anyone finds it, certainly let me know and give a shout out on the number that we are looking for. Okay, so in your die cuts for the file tabs, we did a little bit of a score line. Love that. Always like to give a little extra. So I am going to secure my adhesive on both the front and back, and even in the middle. I'm not paying attention too much to the light and darkness of my tabs, but that is certainly up to you if you want to, if there's some semblance that you like. I'm not caring. I'm using the edge of the Insta Flip, because you can always push that down, as my guide to go side, or I don't know what this is, the top and bottom of that file tab, whatever you want to call that. I'm trying. Actually, I didn't do it too well, which is why I'm glad I have adhesive that I have. Whatever it is. Okay, so I do my first one, right? I think that that's easy enough to say, okay, that's fine. It's spaced out well enough for me. I'm happy. Could it have been more perfect? Sure. But I'm going to use that as my guide for the other ones, because I like the idea of keeping them in this particular sense of in a row. You could stagger them. I mean, you can do whatever you like. It is your project, people. But so I'm going to use this as my guide in terms of placement to try to keep it somewhat, I say somewhat even. Yeah, I'm sticking. Okay. Yeah, good enough for me. I think that's pretty even. And last but not least, so the idea being you're trying to get these nice and even. I'm going to take those, hopefully I'm on camera still doing those, and I'm going to make them a little higher. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So now that they're in order, I'm going to bring back my original page. And again, I'm an eyeball girl, right? So I'm going to kind of just position them. If for some reason, like I said, there's some light and dark thing that you like going on, I'll put my bottom one first. I'll then put my top one, and then we'll figure out where the middle meets, and that will be our guide. So I'm going to position this like a little bit up, side to side of center. Okay. All right. Then I'll take my top one. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, right? And then we'll position this one in the middle. Again, you can measure it if you want to, if there's some rhyme or reason, or if you have photos that have a specific element popping through or whatever it is. I'm just doing that. Okay. And once again, we have a cute little waterfall. So I cannot get enough of the Insta Flips. I hope you guys, I love them. I want to put them on every single project. I think that they're just a great addition for adding a lot of extra stuff to your projects. So that is a look. This was the back side of the desserts. I can read and know what's what. The desserts tab that I had, and again, that was the 3 photos. I figure desserts was one of those places I personally thought it would be fun to have more photos, thinking, oh, in the kitchen, making brownies, cookies. Clearly I have an issue with chocolate since I'm naming all my chocolate desserts. All good. So lots of pages going on for desserts over here. Yes, the flips should be a staple. I hope to keep them as a staple. I don't see why we wouldn't keep them as a staple. For me, I can't get enough of them, so I am happy to keep the flips as a staple, Stacy. Thank you. Okay, so next we have, oh, that's where I did it. I was like, why do I have extra frames? I stuck the frames, the 3x4, these are like the 2.5x3, these frames onto the fronts of these flip pages. Again, I'm keeping in mind that my tab or my opening is to the top. I'm just eyeballing in the middle since I have them both out. I will do the same on both. Glad we figured out where those were gonna go. So this is the 2.5x3 inch frame on that flip page that then will go behind it. I then even added the pocket page in here because again, I want my brownie and cookie recipes. A photo can go on the back side here. As you see, I did lay one out with the white cardstock, but totally not necessary. And then flip it. We have entrees tab. Okay, which was how we set it up before. This is the one that did not have the table cut out. So we'll stick that in there. We had our other frame. We're then gonna go with our other 2 pocket pages. This is the tab. What tab is this? Entrees. Again, I'm thinking, all right, we'll probably have a lot of entrees. And last but not least, I mean, I will say, like, I will go back with all those little reinforcements and stick them in. So this was the tab without a photo, or you can put the photo in. And, oopsie, the back side of this, which we'll have to figure out what I did over there because I have no idea at this moment. Oh, we wind up doing it with different embellishments. Okay, so we go to quick and easy. I guess I didn't anticipate, or no, this is entrees still. We go to quick and easy. We have that. I then put in, again, one of the... Is everybody getting their pages confused or is it just me? Hopefully this will help once it's all in place so that we don't have to lose pieces and you'll have them all together. So I put in the 5x7, and again, I just like the idea of making these as pages as something differently sized to the rest of the album pages. The next one is the faux 6x4 pocket. You know, we went over the pocket pages. I put that one in. You can also put photos on the back side here. We then have soups and salads. I'm gonna have to go back with all my reinforcements, which we had the 2 frames. We then have the pocket with the 2 and the official 6x4 on the bottom. And then we go to vegetables, and I'm gonna actually just probably put this on this side. So I'm gonna use this as my base. I didn't really do too much with this page, admittedly, but obviously you can go back and add more, do more. I put that as the back. I put the recipe card here, and then I put the vegetables there. I close it all up, carefully swing it all about. As you will see, we are definitely making this thing built up, and I don't even have my reinforcements in here at this moment. So this one did have them. Hopefully that cord's not in the camera. Oh, it is in the camera. That's kind of annoying. Sorry, I didn't even notice that. Okay, hopefully. Ooh, now I'm moving the camera. Is that a little better, or is that just annoying, that cord? Okay, so take my pick on the albums. I guess I might as well put this in place so that I'm at an even spot. And then we get to go embellish and decorate. How exciting is that? That's like the best part, right? So if you're following along still, we have what left? We have our rub-ons, we have our cover, we have the cover, we have our rub-ons, we have our die cuts, and we have our laser cuts. And this is where it gets fun. You know, obviously feel free to mix and match and do your own thing. There is no right or wrong with any of it in terms of what works for you and what works for your album. So I will take that one. And all right. What do the directions say in terms of bits and pieces? I think we actually just go and show the final. So I'm going to go back to the cover. So here we are. I always find that once you kind of get to a point, you want your cover to be in a position where you can keep your best elements for that cover and go backwards. Am I hearing, do you guys need me to go back and do the pages one more time? I can do that. I just need to know if you need to see that. I'm going to get my bits and pieces together for the cover while you guys are maybe getting caught up on the pieces. I'm going to use the large die cut piece. We're going to be using our die cut double door. And then I'm just gonna grab some pieces if I don't drop them on the floor. Okay, we have the Homemade with Love. We have the, I'll put them over here so we can see them. These are the pieces that we're using. I'll also be grabbing some of the laser cuts. We have the Family Memories. Magical, magical, magical. What's magical? Where'd my magical go? Telling you, finding pieces, that's always the hardest. And half the time I do wonder if I dropped them on the floor. Magical and enjoy every moment. Okay. So these were the words that I used, and then I'm also going to grab some of the laser cuts. You'll see in the die cuts, if you want, it's up to you. If you want to poke through, some of the little bits sometimes get stuck. Okay, so you need to walk through the pages. I'll do a walk through the pages. And if for some reason, you know, you guys can always go and embellish on your own after the fact too. So one more time, we'll take a look at the inside pages, so this way everyone can get caught up, or if you missed anything. We have the inside front cover, which we added the large 4x6 and doorway. We have appetizers, and again, I'll just say the first tab in case you chose to do different ones that have the waterfall on the back side. We have a 5x7 recipe card, followed by the second tab, which I did bread and pasta, followed by a 3x4, I'm caught on my doorway, the 3x4 flip that I had added to that 5x7 card. We then have the third tab, which has the table sticking out, the two 6x4 page protector sheet, is the next one. We then have desserts with the 4 by 3 inch waterfall. We have our flip page, that's what I call it. I don't know if that's the technical term, but we'll call it the flip page. The pocket page. Entrees, which is our 5th tab. This is the 5th tab. This starts the top of the 2nd row, along with the flip page, the 2nd flip page, and the 2nd pocket page, which have recipe cards in them. We have our quick and easy, or the 7th tab. The 7th tab, which had the oven cut out. This was the collection pack cover sheet that we will cover up the little bits of text that we do not want to be seen with our embellishments later. We then have another 5 by 7 recipe card page. We have the 4 by 6, the page protector that has 2 3 by 4s, and this was the faux 6 by 4. This is the one that had it over the top of the quadrant on the bottom. We then have the soups and salads tab, which we had cut out the doorway. We have the backside of it, the official 6 by 4 and 2 3 by 4 page protector. And then we have vegetables following the 5 by 7 page protector. This apparently on my extra one, I had just stuck in an extra sheet, and this was the page protector. So you can see that this was the extra sheet of paper, I guess, that I had just tucked in before. And this is like one of the packaging sheets. So you can use those or not. I don't really do much with them towards the back of the book. But this is a look at all the interior pages. Obviously, you'll continue to see them as we go forward. I will do some of the bits and pieces and the embellishments for you. But so next we're going to do that cover. And I like to just make sure I do the cover. So if it's pieces that I know I want to use or titles that I don't wind up using them elsewhere. Sometimes when I go back and put the bits and pieces, I wind up mixing and matching because I'm a firm believer that there's really no right or wrong. So if we use a variation, it's totally fine. Your die cut might have the little windows in it. It's super easy to pop out. On your directions, I had you cut a 4 by 4.5 inch photo, or in this case, I'm just going to use it as my white cardstock. I can go and secure it with some foam tape to give it a little bit of that dimension to look like it's behind. I will do so if I can find some foam tape that isn't strips, because I don't know what I do with my foam tape. Oh no. All right. Well, I do have strips of foam tape. I know I do. Okay. All right. Very fine, but they'll still work. So I'm going to go around the top and then knot. You can, if you want, and I did on my final sample, I will show it to you. You can trim, and I'll do it for the sample, but I kind of decided to open only one door and not both, because as you can see, depending on how hard or how forceful you cut for your score line, you can wind up popping your door off. But I did think that was kind of fun to have it like just a slight bit ajar. I could obviously, once I put a photo in, I could kind of prop it up with a little bit more foam. So basically what I will do is find my craft knife. I'll take a metal edged ruler to kind of guide where I would have that. And this is totally optional on how crazy or not crazy you want to get with your project. I believe in little details. I believe it's the little details that make everything just pop. So for me, most of the time, I'll say most of the time, go that little extra mile, or try to at least. You got to just be careful with this because you don't want to go too far. Worst case you do, you just use your glue. Use your glue, piece back whatever you need to, and no harm, no foul. Nobody else will ever be the wiser except for you. So I'm really worrying about that one door. Let me see if I can pop it. Yeah. Okay, so it is upside down, but I can pop it. If I left it, I can leave it like this so it's not going to be too secure. And maybe that's what I'll do. No, I won't. I'm gonna wind up gently, and I say gently, and I do say this, do this with caution. I'm gently going to use my blade just to kind of score that slightly so that it will allow this door to open a little bit easier. I mean, the frame is delicate here, so you kind of have to do with caution. I will say that it's definitely a with caution thing, but it just makes it, it breaks it a little bit so that it's easier to make it look like the door actually did open. So once again, I'm gonna go back with that foam tape. I'm going super thin here. Gonna not do it where I have my cut line. You can use black, white, whatever you have. I just happen to have black within hand's reach. Oh, perfectly sized. I guess it could have gone up a little bit with that one. Okay, stick you over here. I'm not gonna put it in the center right now because I'm gonna have to go back with a photo. And even if I can't get under my white cardstock over here, I'll be able to have enough room to play with an actual photo. Okay. How's everybody doing? I'm gonna go base pages finished and come back to decorate. Okay. Okay, so I am going to position over this, kind of go side to side. Hopefully I did well. Okay, woo, got lucky there. Nothing's overflowing. See the black foam, but that's fine. You could always like ink some edges if you want to kind of blend, you know, a little bit more if you want. So, okay. So we have our bits and pieces. Making things happen over here. All right, everybody's good, moving and grooving. I'm looking for, we have these as our base pieces. I will wind up going and pulling some of the laser cuts as well. That's where it gets a little crazy, is all the laser cut pieces. There's a lot of pieces between our die cuts and our laser cuts. There's a lot of pieces, but super fun to mix and match all of it. So let's see if I can get this positioning well. I'm gonna eyeball, like just kind of like, all right, we're gonna stagger those a bit. I don't go edge to edge with my glue on these pieces because again, I might wind up tucking stuff below and above, and if I want, I can always go back and add a little bit of adhesive later. So I'm staggering those two pieces, and I'm gonna kind of just eyeball where I'm gonna have it. I thought family memories was a nice thing. Enjoy the moments. We're gonna do homemade with love up here. And I kind of did this little magical homemade memories over here. And I'm gonna just kind of put side to side because perhaps the visual is a little easier since we do have all this room on this camera. Which, am I gonna get that a little straighter for you? Yes, okay, perfect. Sort of, a little more. Okay, so, is my shadowing going on? I don't wanna put the lights on because then I think we get a little halo. Okay, so the pieces I'm looking for, these are, again, once the word strips are just in place, I'm gonna kind of have a look, and this is probably what I did after the fact. So I'm gonna go look for these pieces. Up here, I'm feeling this is like a big piece. On our, the panels of the laser cuts are kind of set up so that they're grouped together, right? You know, you have your fruits and vegetables, you have like your plates and your herbs and whatevers, as well as you have like your baked goods, and then you have like your entree, what I'm calling this the entree sheet. I'm sure there's probably a better name for it. Which is hysterical to me because as I look for this, I'm like, ooh, where are you? Oh, it's the one falling out. Okay, so this is the large piece. This came from over here. So again, this has nothing down on it. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Once my pieces wind up getting a little too empty, I wind up pulling off the pieces. But for now, I'm going to say let's try to keep it together if we can. And again, this just depends on how much space you have all around your pieces to see what's what. I'm still, like, I have this extra frame. I still have one extra frame. I don't know if anybody else has an extra frame. I'm guessing you do if I do. But I'm going to try to position these a little bit off to the side. I did empty one. I emptied my baked goods, and now I have my 3 other sheets. Okay, so, oh, it could be a fun shaker. This could be a fun shaker card. Yes, and Milagros, who is watching here live, has done before. She likes to put a little piece of clear plastic behind the window frames to give it that authentic look. And I will say you could either use your packaging, or if you found some strips from the washi tape, if you don't dump it in the garbage like I just did, you could probably position some of that on top and bottom. So you have a nice little plastic option over here. So thank you, Milagros, for reminding me that you have been so clever in the past to do such fun things. Okay, so I'm looking for this. I'm now looking for these little bits and pieces. And again, if yours is slightly different, it really doesn't matter. Maybe we should hop to the middle of the book so you can see what becomes more important or not as you go. I'm telling you, this is the guessing game. This is the game of games to figure out where your pieces are. Like, I have no idea. All right. I'm looking for this big spoon. We had some little bits and pieces. We have some fruits and vegetables. So on our fruits and vegetables, I'm looking for some figs. I'm going with some raspberries. I had raspberries over here. There was like a fig cluster with the over here. This came off the bottom over here. And again, this is like where if you want to like zoom in on photos from the directions, you can certainly do so. You can also make it your own. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I am going to be free to say that I may or may not pull some of the wrong bits and pieces at this juncture. I will say this is the spoon. Is this the spoon? Where's the spoon? This is the spoon that I kept looking for. It's on the entree sheet. And again, doesn't matter. Grab a different spoon. Don't do a spoon. It doesn't make a difference. But a little look. We have some cookies. And I had my pink strawberry little doodad over here. Okay. So those are just some pieces. Again, I'm leaving this up so that you can kind of see it as I'm positioning them. I did use foam tape in a double manner on my title. Not necessary, totally up to you. I am going to take out my wet glue for these kinds of bits and pieces, which of course I made sure that my wet glue was going to work before I started this, but let's see if it's all, there we go. The Novu glue is awesome with this fine tip applicator, especially for these laser cuts. You don't need to put adhesive all over the place, but on a cover, I do like to make sure I kind of get good coverage so that it doesn't wind up pulling the different pieces, you know, as it gets used. And as you can see, my positioning here is just slightly off, but I'm fine with that. So I'm going to just make sure, like my little handle, I don't really want that like flipping up in the air because that could tear off if it wasn't adhered appropriately, whatever the right word is. So I'm going to use a little bit more adhesive over here. So I put in my magical, and I'm kind of going to save these little bits and pieces as my cluster after. I'm going to use my title as my guide for placement. So just put those off to the side. I'll find my little foam tape here. So family memories. I did family in a single layer. Okay, how's everybody doing? Are you actually following along, or has everybody given up and said, oh, I'll come back to this later? And for anybody watching this later, I'm talking to the people who were here live at one point. So I'm just taking the foam tape. nice thing about this really thin stuff is it's easy to move it around if it needs to. Okay, so I'm going to put down family first. Oop. Yeah, normally when I do these kinds of albums, I feel like I don't do the embellishing part live. So if anybody needs to go and feels like, let me come back later, feel free. I mean, this is going to be the embellishing part of the album. I'll walk through, obviously, any little tips and tricks, but I think always it's great to start with a full foundation of your pages and get a sense of what is going where. Sometimes I do think for sure it's easier to come back later, especially when you have those photos that you want to use, or the idea of like which recipes. You know, having a base sometimes is easier, or having base is always easier, but coming back later when you have the details makes it nice too. Did that make any sense? I don't know. My sample did do 2 layers so that I could go on top. I think I'm going to keep it kind of simple there with how I'm applying this. Yeah. Okay, so I did 2 layers here. And let's see if that works. So we're gonna go family memories. Oh, that was the point. So between my R and my I, I'm going to trim back the foam so that it goes on top, which I guess I could have done 1 layer, but not enough. There we go. Okay. Just to give it a little dimension, a little pizzazz, a little something, something. All right. I can't stand the little tidbits from the paper. I will make sure that I ink up the edges of this because I want to have the contrast against the album cover for that little label holder. Put our glue. Okay. Sliding that under there. And then again, I'm just taking these little bits and pieces and kind of building the cluster around of what's the void. You know, here I was like, oh, there's a little space over there. So I want to position some laser cuts. And again, you can always go in and out, up and down, over and out. I like giving a little dimension. You know, you can put some foam tape behind. You can curl it with your fingers. You know, give it that little natural feel by bending the paper. All right, and then we put the little pieces. It's just about filling those little voids. So I'm gonna, okay. I hope you are all enjoying. I don't know if I'm doing too much detail, not enough detail. I don't know if you just want me to walk through the final or if you literally want to go through piece by piece. We certainly can. I can do this all day long. You know, we have our rub-ons still to do. We have all of our bits and pieces in the pages, or you could just see the final one, and that way you can pause as you go along, because I know finding the pieces is probably the most time consuming, especially when we have all of these little laser cuts and pieces to look for. So that is a look. You can see cover to cover, did it. I guess I could have, oh, I did not adhere that one down. So let me just ink that a smidge. Otherwise I think everything is in place. Okay. And I'll put it in the middle. Perfect. Homemade with love, magical family memories. Enjoy every moment. Love this album. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, Joey, I agree with you. Why not take a break from work and get to play, right? This is a fun project for me. This one was just pure joy. Sometimes I stress myself when I'm like forced to use certain products, or I commit to products before actually playing, and then I go, oh my God, what am I gonna do? This was just absolute enjoy, 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 and I absolutely could not be happier with the way it turned out. So hopefully you guys are happy with it as well. And I'm just gonna start pulling little bits and pieces, so that way if you are following along and you want to, you can try to figure out which pieces. Or again, I think all of these lend themselves to really mixing and matching however you want. I don't think that there is a right or wrong in any of it. So I think that you should feel free to play, and I'll just kind of put these in the center so you can actually see the different pieces. Maybe we'll grab some herbs. I'm trying to think, maybe I'll flip through the album to show you the pages to see if there is anything that really needs explaining, because I think to kind of go through all of this might become a lot. I would not have used the plastic sleeves like that, and I loved it. Oh, good, yeah. I try, Linda, we try to give you just a little outside of the box thinking, or just a different way to look at something. I personally feel that the value of taking a class is always learning just one technique or one little tip or trick that you would not have otherwise done. So hopefully that's a little look. And I'm telling you, I think I could just drive everybody mad if I was to sit here and look for every single piece. So hopefully it's a good plan that everyone thinks that I'm going to, in depth now, walk through. Ooh, I already dropped things. I'm going to walk through my finished project. I think that this is probably where the time is best served right now. So this is one of those, like, you can pause on the screen, you know, get a good close up where you need, that I'll show you all the little bits and pieces and point out what I had done where. So let's take a look at the finished project and hopefully a little bit closer up for you. So once again, on that cover sheet, we had used the foam tape on the frame and the door to kind of give a little dimension. That led me to play with the height on these two pages just because I had the room to do so. So I put foam behind the Our Story Begins Here, as well as this like coffee bean jar or whatever we want to call it. And then I also evened off some, some foam tape on those bits and pieces, so this all popped out. I stuck the little tag in underneath. This is two different pieces here, so it kind of layers right on top, because I just thought that the gap, I needed something to close that, so to speak. So that's a look at this page. Then you have two little spices over here. You have your little, I don't know what these are, but they're adorable. Very cute, the little spoon. So let me zoom in. Hopefully, is that a little easier to see? I don't even know. Okay, then we have our next page. And again, this is one of those, I want you to go back, pause, do what you need. But I think to try to find all these little bits and pieces page by page is probably going to be a little maddening. Plus, I will say with the rub-ons, I love the rub-ons. I think they add such an amazing touch. This is a great set that Dennis did. You know, but if you have a photo here, obviously you can put rub-ons on top of photos. You might not want to waste your rub-on in this situation on your white cardstock because you might want to use it. You could also do the rub-on like on your white cardstock and just do a smaller photo if you wanted. That's always an option, but I just point that out. So here I did the thankful for the memories. Again, I used my little olive oil, my sage, my little grapes, the thankful, and then I did the spoon and slotted spoon. I did add a bit of foam tape on that so that it pops, since this frame also had the foam on it to begin with. Any questions so far on these two pages? Everything clear on the two pages? Yes, the fall, everyone should enjoy the fall weather if you're here in the States. The weather here has been spectacular. But, okay, so the next is this. I did not do really much to this. I did add a little spoon on top, and I actually was lazy. I stuck it right on top of my page protector. You could obviously take the card out and you can embellish those as you go. I don't think I really did much else. You know, here's just a cute little laser cut piece. You know, you can mix and match those as you please. I left these because I really didn't know what recipes I'd be using, so I didn't really know what was going to be appropriate. but more as a way of just showing you the different things you can do if you want to. Simple and satisfying. Once again, I did go right over that page protector with that. You can do it on the card itself. I also did the secret ingredient is love, like right in that middle space down here. But again, just really cute sayings, little bits and pieces. They are jam-packed on here. I would highly recommend that for adding these little pieces, especially on the page protectors, because it's going to adhere easier to the plastic. You would want to cut out those little pieces. So definitely trim those out before you want to stick them on top here, okay? I did the little spoons again. I love the whole cross spoons thing, so you'll see them kind of as a repeat element all throughout because I thought it was a lot of fun. So bread and pasta, family recipe. This was a die cut tag at top that I thought was a nice way to fill the void and space between the top part. I did do the rub-ons here. Life is what you bake of it. The aroma of freshly baked bread is a language all of its own. Moments to treasure, and then like the bowl of what I thought looked like pasta, even though now looking at it, it looks like potatoes, but neither here nor there. It's all good. So a quick look at that page. We then have the back side, and I forgot, I also did take some of the rub-ons to the back side of the tabs just because I thought it was fun. We had a lot of words. Why not? We have more pasta. We have some of the, what is this? Basil? I don't know if it's basil or not. Carbs might be my soulmate. I'm with that statement. This is my happy place with that statement. I do like my pasta. I cook with wine. Sometimes I even add food to it, which definitely is my jam if anybody knows me. So just a fun way to use the little rub-ons, little bits and pieces. Life is a combination of magic and pasta. I'll flip to the ones that get a little bit more intense with the laser cuts. Labor of love, as you'll see, we did give an option for those people that are in Canada and other places around the world who use that British English, which I've now learned. For the breakfast, I thought this one was fun. I had a good time. Some little fruits up here, you know, again with the quotes. And then I even did off around the bottom edge with some of those larger laser cuts. And then I added some grapes. So that is nice and easy just to kind of blend it all around. The back side, again, using all the laser cuts, the ephemera from the die cut pack, the little tabs, all this little stuff. You can mix and match these clusters. A lot of fun just to play with the different layers and whatnot. Anybody have any questions so far? Am I going too quick? Am I showing enough? Do you need it zoomed in? Okay. We have the recipe card on top. Creating moments of pure bliss, one bite at a time. I did add in one of the little laser cuts here to kind of balance out that card with the figs on it. Again, just adding little trinkets here and there from the bits and pieces was a lot of fun. This one I had a good time with. This was the desserts page. So if you recall, this was just simply the 4x6 photo. I used one of those tabs, the rub-ons, and then I played with the little various dessert options, added the word cherish. Did I add foam here? I did add a little foam, don't yell at me, but it was fun just to play with a little bit of depth here on this page. Totally up to you, but I did kind of even it out or try to do it around the edges, because I will say also, when you're doing your book and you're adding in these layers, you can kind of feel like where your deficits on space are. You know, it's like, oh, I could have put stuff here because that goes down. You just want to make sure you're not here raising it up, because it will wind up going too much too quick or whatever the right word is. So you just have to be careful of that. But if you kind of go on the outsides, it's a little bit easier. But I do say it with caution, but sometimes it's worth a little bit of dimension. So this is the desserts page. We have our flips. So here what I did to make that a little fancy, which obviously I got a little bit of adhesive. I thought that this was fun, and this I actually did do on the photo pieces. I covered up the top edge of the Instaflip with the die cut word strip, you know, so that was easy just to cover that up so that I can still flip. I did add in these little bits of quotes You'll see there's different words. I did a little bit of laser cuts, but fun. Yummy, tasty, delish. These are all part of that dessert page, so why not? The best things in life are sweet. Baking is love, made visible. Oh, I did add a fourth. I knew I cut another one and I didn't know for what. I did hide an extra photo underneath that, so when you're doing that page and you adhere that piece, just make sure that it's going to be hidden by the tab on top. Okay, so that is that. We have the die cut. We have the little bit and piece over here. And then, oh, I thought this was super cute. Top secret recipe. Well, isn't that just fun? Top secret recipe, our little cupcake with a cherished memory. And this is just because the recipe was hidden. I was like, oh, top secret, that's cute. I think there's also some like Graham's recipe kind of words and stuff like that that you can use for all those special moments. So I don't know why that one just made me happy. They all make me happy, I shouldn't say that. But so that was that little flip. This was again showing a photo that you can put the rub-ons on top. Another cake. We have the pocket with again just some simple little ads from the rub-ons and the little laser cut pieces. We have never forget. This is where I did it. Did I forget to put this frame? This is the frame. I kept saying, why do I have an extra frame? So there was a frame that goes on the back side of that tab, which I'm now going to have to put in place. So we did that frame with some little bits and pieces. You have the tag, you have the plates, you know, just a fun way to decorate it. Never forget, treasured moment. Again, creating a collage here on the entrees page. We have from oven to awesome up here, or you can put any other word art or your own handwriting, whatever you like. And then again, just taking those laser cuts, positioning them all around, taking some of the smaller ones to like even it off in the front, tucked in with the Moments die cut. So that was fun. This is the entrees tab. We have the treasure. So this was the page, and I will say it this way. This is the page that we had the frame up at the top where I said I was going to take one of the larger elements. This is one of the die cuts, and I will point it out. So the way this page laid out, is that the right way to say that? What I did before sticking this down is I trimmed off this top part of the plates, and I wound up putting it in here. So I tucked it between the 6x4 card and the pocket page. If you have room, you can do that. And basically I just gave it another step or another level on that pocket page. And then I put the bottom half off of here. So, and then I covered the space, because here I would have had a little bit of a space between here and the frame. So I covered it with Old Memories and Young Hopes. This, I did add a row of foam tape over just so it popped up off of my stovetop. Okay, so that was a little look at how you do that one. We have a chaotic kitchen is a happy kitchen on the recipes, and again just taking some of those laser cuts. This is actually one piece. I think I'm feeling it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so this is just that large piece popped right on the bottom. Very easy to do that, along with just, you know, a little rub on the inside. We have more laser cuts on the bottom corner over here. Again, word art up top, little bits and pieces along the way. And then we have the cards in here. You could obviously always add more. We flip that. This page I had left blank. I didn't put a 4x6, but clearly there is room for a 4x6, or you could do a collage of photos. You could do 2 4x3s. Just played with the little bits and pieces. I really like this. I just had fun. I think you cannot go wrong with any of the bits and pieces you put anywhere, but just kind of playing and drawing your eye in different locations. Quick and easy. This is the page that we had used. That was the cover sheet. So for the cover sheet, I think it was important to point out that we are hiding certain bits and pieces. So here was the one that we had. You know, I basically left this brown edge over here, but obviously I wanted to cover up the letters sticking out here. I wanted to cover up the 6. So I used, this is a ticket from the die cut pack. This is one of the laser cuts, and kind of just like pulled that around Those are really the only things that you have to make sure on this, as long as you covered up this. If for some reason you were showing the 49 and market at the top, you could obviously use one of your ticket strips or tabs or whatever to stick up at the top. So that's a little look at that one. Okay, we have the frame. This one we had just the frame all around. I just put a little bit of the coffee stuff, memories to treasure and keep. Super easy. I'm like, scrumptious. Hopefully you guys like, well, look, there's so many pieces left over that you can obviously mix and match. Just showing you that it's fun to use all those pieces. Don't forget to put your reinforcements on. Love these little bits. You could just put little quotes that people said or the photos that you might be using. Soups and salads, again, laser cuts. Love it. Just drawing your eye all around the page with the color pops that you have from the fruits and vegetables. And I just kind of laid these around, you know, sticking the little pieces here, there, and in between. So that was like with the little figs, the onion. This is a rub on. These are laser cuts. Okay, we had the two frames that we had sent off skewed. I don't even know if that's the right word. Put the little plates, the word tradition. I kind of hid the line by using that spoon. I did use a layer of foam here between the plates just because it was like lying on top of all that stuff, but that's optional. Punch of flavor. I used the little doodad, the little laser cut. Homemade soup. You can have titles from your rub-ons. All kinds of good stuff. Just mix and match, crisscross those spoons and forks and all that. This was the laser cut fruits, again, drawing your eye to the corners so that anything in between you will wind up being the visual point of it when you put down your photos. Or you can journal, or you can make additional recipes, kind of whatever works for you. We have that. We have a little, I did another 4x3 over here, which I guess I didn't put in the book, but extra little bits and pieces. We have little rub-ons, little accoutrements. Maggie, thank you. I'm going to just say thank you between me and Dennis. The two of us, I think, make a great team, and Dennis's collection here is absolutely fabulous. And we are forever grateful because I absolutely love this collection. As I mentioned, it is going to fly off the shelves as it already has. So you'll want to get it while you can. And hopefully you all enjoyed. This was that one sheet with the 2 6x4s. Again, just using some of the laser cuts to pop those colors. And then here I really didn't do anything because, as you can see, I was kind of busting at the seams. But I think the idea with all these pages is that you really can mix and match all those pieces. This was such a delight to make. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Can't wait to see finished projects. Would love to see people post them. Hope you get all those family memories. You know, this is a great time of year for a recipe album, but really it's something that can be treasured all throughout the year. I hope you enjoyed. I can't wait to fill mine with family memories, all the photos and all that good stuff. If anybody has any questions, you can always pop them in comments or reach out. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with you, for joining me on this. Dennis, you're amazing. You're a rock star. Very happy. Could not be happier with this collection. So thank you. Thank you all. And have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care, everybody.